Hi, my name is Steven and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking to you about harnessing raw emotions, powering up your personality through emotions. Emotions are very powerful, and if used correctly, you can build and optimize your life in ways you never could imagine. And it can give you an edge compared to those who don't use their emotions or try to suppress them. This is because, at best, emotions are a double-edged sword. It can help you or it can hurt you, and it has the ability to transform your life in both good ways and bad ways. For example, in my life, I've used negative emotions to help me propel forward to a better version of myself, and give me the push I needed to get myself out of a bad situation. Most people see negative emotions as something that's damaging and want to hide it from others at all cost. But if used correctly, it can give you massive power to change your life for the better. So let's see how we can harness emotions for better change. And to preface this, I am not a mental health expert. These are just my opinions and experiences. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, hit that notification bell if you like this content. And here we go. So let's first talk about the background in harnessing your emotions. If you grew up like me, you were not allowed to express your emotions in any negative way, or else something bad will happen. So over time, you learn to suppress your emotions and you never really freely express them anymore. I grew up being told that I had to maintain my composure at all time. I can't show any negative or positive emotions. I'm here to tell you that that was bad advice from my parents, and it can damage your psyche and limit your potential over a long period of time. We humans are surprisingly dependent on our emotions, and most of our actions are driven by our emotions, not our logic. People might say that logic and reasoning are behind their motivations in life, but I'm here to tell you that it's mostly emotions. People make up the logic afterwards. So emotions are a really important driving factor in our lives, and if we can harness them properly, we can take advantage of it. And I'm not saying that emotions expressed freely all the time is the way to go. You have to learn to control it. Because if you freely express your emotions all the time, good or bad, then you might not be able to harness the full potential of it. There is a way to balance your emotions so that it can be a good force of change in your life. When we express intense emotions, there's a reason behind it. We have to listen to that reason, because often it's an indicator that we need to change something in our lives. I've used this many times in my life. Some of the biggest changes in my life were directly due to intense emotions I was feeling at the time. It wasn't always easy to figure out where the root of my emotions came from, and also to convince myself that I needed to change myself. But in the end, I always learned something that eventually bettered my life for the long term. So definitely this is something that, if done properly, you can harness your emotions to better your life. Now let's go through some of my tips on how to harness your emotions. Number 1, jealousy to motivate. Jealousy is a very powerful emotion to enact change in your life. More often, you want what others have, and you will do whatever it takes to try to obtain that. In my younger days, I had a lot of jealousy in me. I coveted people who had money, status, or women. And it created in me a sense of urgency that I must pursue those things with high priority. And I created a plan of action to try to obtain those things the most efficient way I know how. It is not for me to say if jealousy is good or bad in your life, but for me, it helped me to create changes that I needed in my life. So at the end of the day, if you're feeling jealousy towards certain people and you want what they have, use that as motivation to get you to the next level. Put in place plans and action steps to help you attain your goals, but make sure that those goals are really what you want in the end. You don't want to get to a point where you get that object and you realize that that wasn't what you were actually looking for or jealous of. Oftentimes when people get jealous, they just stew and they don't ever do anything about it. Don't do that. Because if you're in this stage where you're jealous of someone and you're stuck, you'll perpetually be jealous of that person without you doing anything towards it. And at that point, it can negatively affect you because you're going to carry that load and burden on your brain and you won't have any way to alleviate it. So when you get jealous of someone, understand where that jealousy comes from and try to create a plan of action to obtain that object you're looking for. Number 2, sadness to reflect. In times that you are going through great sadness or turmoil, it's the perfect time to reflect on your life. This is because we are at a low point in our lives and we're more receptive to other people's input. And we'll listen to all the options that are on the table to help us feel better. Oftentimes when I'm at this point, I take a good hard look at myself and see where I can improve upon. And what are the things that made me sad and disappointed in the first place. Conflict with others, relationship issues, or career setbacks usually makes me take a hard look at myself and see what were the issues that I could have done wrong and how to course correct for the future. How easy people pick up on this and change their life is dependent on their own personality. But in general, your guards and walls that routinely protect you from criticism and danger are lowered. And hopefully during this time, you'll be able to take other people's input and try to better your life from that. Understanding why you're sad in the first place and being proactive on mitigating it for the future is really good for you. Because once you implement it, it's a lessons learned. You'll keep it with you for the rest of your life. Sadness by far is the most useful of all the emotions that you can harness, because it has the ability to force long structural changes in your life. Because the reason is, if you're sad, you'll keep being sad unless you fix that problem. With each bout of sadness, I've been able to make incremental improvements in my life so that I am no longer feeling that way anymore. And I've learned lessons along the way to help better myself and improve the situation that I'm in. So when you're in a state of sadness, take time and reflect on how you got there and how you plan to get out of it. When properly used, sadness can be used to create massive personal change within yourself. Number 3, anger to refocus. Anger is a great way to refocus on something or redouble your efforts in something that you're already doing. I use it to build up extra motivation to whatever I'm doing that needs it. It hones me in on that specific thing and it helps me to block out distractions. When you get angry, tunnel vision occurs. You are hyper-focused on whatever you're angry at. This allows you, when properly used, to channel it and funnel it through whatever work you need to get done. For example, if a coworker upsets you, you can use that anger and refocus it on work that you need to get done. Or you transfer that hyper-focus to something else that needs your attention on. The key is to not lash out or bury your anger. It's to channel it into something more productive. Again, I'm not a mental health expert, so these are my opinions and experiences only, but I found out that it's very productive for me to channel it into something positive. There are many ways that people can experience and process their emotions. Some are just better at it than others. Because at the end of the day, we all have to live with our emotions and accept them. Why not use it for something good along the way? Anger can help you focus and give you the extra push and motivation that you might need for something. But take care that you don't form a habit of using anger as a motivational tool all the time. Because this is a double-edged sword and you don't want to be dependent on anger for motivation. Number 4, fear to test boundaries. One of the most straightforward emotions that you can harness in your life is fear. When you're near it, it means that you are almost at the boundaries of your comfort level. And if the emotion becomes more and more intense, then you're out of your comfort zone. You're in the zone of terror. I use fear in my life to gauge where I'm at in my life with various things. I characterize them in 3 separate categories: hesitation, fear, and terror. This helps me to understand parts of my life that can fit neatly in these categories. And it helps me to understand whether or not I want to take action and improve those areas or just avoid them altogether. For example, I'm not a strong swimmer, so if I were to swim in the ocean, that would be sheer terror for me. But if I were to swim in a swimming pool, it would just be a mere hesitation. You can go through your life and define all the things that you're fearful of, and that can help you ascertain whether or not you want to improve it or avoid it. If you want to learn more about risks and comfort level, check out my previous video on how risky are you, and in which I go into detail about the tools that I use to gauge my own comfort level and things. So using fear is an effective tool to gauge where you're at in certain areas of your life. And once you know where you are, you can create a plan to tackle it or avoid it altogether. And number 5, joyfulness to rest and relax. Ending on a happier note, when you feel joyfulness, it's your cue to rest and relax from whatever you're doing. For goal-oriented people like me, it can sometimes be really hard for me to relax after a successful accomplishment in my life. I always just want to jump on to the next thing without feeling a sense of accomplishment. I had to learn over a long period of time that I must take in the joy of the moment and relax. And feel the happiness and good vibes wash over me, at least for a moment, to take it in. Because this is the time to truly take in the moment and create a good memory from it. If you're like me, you've been taught not to show good fortunes or to show off to other people when something good happens in your life. Because if you do, you might make other people feel bad, and that's just generally not good. But I think it goes too far because at its core, we still have to celebrate our own individual successes from time to time. We can't just bury it, move on, and act like it never happened in the first place. Because if we do, we cause harm within ourselves and we burn out much quicker. In my early 20s, I was very much like this. I would accomplish something, move on, and never speak of it again. And I would keep doing it and never feel a joy of any one accomplishment in my life. And I had to slowly unravel myself so that I can actually feel accomplishment over something that I did. Nowadays, I make sure to take time, embrace my successes, and feel joy. Because I know how fleeting joy can be, and we must embrace it whenever it happens to us. So when something good happens to you, take time and space and feel that joy overwhelm and embrace you. You don't need to show off or tell people about it. You just need to feel a sense of joy within yourself. And use that time to rest, relax, and bask in the positive emotions. Because it can give you the strength and courage to carry on to do whatever you are doing in life. So here are some of my general thoughts on harnessing raw emotions. I focused more on harnessing negative emotions for positive change, but you can have positive emotions that can affect positive change. The reason why I focused on negative emotions is because my own direct growth was attributed to negative emotions. I had to navigate that and work through within myself to get to a better place. And negative emotions are always more powerful in affecting change than positive ones. We humans have a tendency to seek happier emotions, and once we get happy, we tend to get complacent and not want to change. And sometimes that can result in a stagnated life in which you don't grow from it. We grow more as a person of the pursuit of happiness rather than obtaining it. I'm sure that there's positive emotions that can affect positive change, but I haven't much experience with that. But the key is to be really open. Any kind of emotion that you have can affect you in a positive or negative manner. You just gotta find out which one works for you. So those are some of my tips on how you can harness your emotions to level up your personality. I come to think of emotions, whether negative or positive, as superpowers. And with great power comes great responsibilities. Emotions without control or ways of expression can be dangerous and destructive. But emotions with processing and content can change your life for the absolute better. I have personally seen how effective anger and sadness is to create sustainable change within your life, and how jealousy and fear allowed me to better understand myself and what mattered to me the most. And finally, how joyfulness allowed me to rest and relax and bask in my accomplishments. Emotions are powerful tools and can help craft a better you as long as you're deliberate and careful in how you use them. So thank you for watching. Please leave me a comment down below on what are your thoughts on using emotions as a tool and what emotions would you use? And I'll see you next time.